is up, team? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Andie and I'm doing the much awaited for placement video. You guys know I usually like my sit down videos, especially when answering all of your questions, but because I'm working from home today, I thought I'd kind of answer them throughout the day. So whether you're new or old, remember to subscribe and turn those post notifications on. Give this video a like to show that you enjoyed it, and let's start with the first question. So I feel like a good place to start with this is, what actually is placement? Is it one-on-one? Are you working? Are you observing? Do you actually get to do anything? Basically what placement is it's as if you're working as a full-time job, but as a student. You'll have normal hours, so it could be 8 to 4, 8 to 4:30. Obviously that will differ from placement to placement. Kind of the first week is getting the gist of things, getting an idea of what that kind of ward is like, how they function. Then the second week is kind of when you start diving in, trying stuff for your own. Third week is your halfway mark, but you get assigned an educator who kind of takes care of you throughout the placement, and they kind of watch you and support you throughout your whole placement, because at the end of the day they're the ones who are going to be marking you, so they kind of see your progress throughout placement. To branch off of that, a lot of people kind of ask what types of placements you can actually get. Literally anything that's to do with physio or anything that's to do with your course you can get. Obviously in university your main topics are MSK, cardiorespiratory, and neurology. Those are three very broad topics, so there are branches underneath. So like within MSK you could have an inpatient, you could have an outpatient, you could have orthopedics, you could have rheumatology. Neuro, you have your acute, your intermediate, could be stroke specific as I had mine. Wide variety, but literally anything that you could think of where, you know, physio specifically have an input, you could get it in. So following on to that, time frames. A total placement is usually 5 weeks, but again, this will differ from uni to uni, because for us we do, I think it's 5 placements total. So we started with a 1 week observational placement, and then we had our formal 5 week placement from the second half of second year. Obviously a lot of them got cancelled because of COVID, so now we're doing back-to-back placements. In terms of physio, and I'm sure with a lot of other kind of medical degrees, you have to graduate with a certain number of practical hours, and then kind of day by day, as I said earlier, will depend on what placement you have. I'm currently on outpatient. I'm actually in 8 to 7 on Monday and 8 to 6:30 Tuesday. Like my days are a lot longer, but I have Thursdays off. But on my last placement I was doing 8 to 4s every single day for the most part. I know that it's usually kind of around 8, 8:30 to 4, 4:30. So I'm gonna do some work now because, as I said, I'm working from home at the moment, but I thought it would be kind of good to make this more, I don't know, give it more movement. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
Walking to placement. Basically, I'm on a stroke unit where I work with stroke patients. I'm helping them to rehabilitate. Right now, our stroke has turned into a COVID ward, which means we're getting more medical patients than stroke. I only have 3 stroke patients, so I'm still learning, but it's not as ideal as 25 beds, but we're fast paced. Neuro's actually really hard, so I mean, if anybody's going into a stroke unit, I suggest trying to at least study beforehand. Fortunately, I did not have the time to do that because we're having back-to-back placements. But yeah, there's a lot to know, but everybody's super nice, and yeah.
What the heck, guys? You guys are blowing my mind. So we are currently at 520 subscribers. You can't even see that, can you? No, okay, it's not gonna focus. Thank you guys so much for that. Honestly, it has been incredible, and as long as I'm helping you guys in some way or another, that's all that matters for me. This is what stress does to you. I just did my first, well, technically not my first, but this is my first one with my educator listening, and oh my gosh, my heart rate, I'm not even kidding, I checked after, it was like 95 beats per minute. But it went really well. Like she said, it went excellently. I like her because you can tell she's very knowledgeable, and that she'll kind of give you feedback even if it's at a quality of 9 out of 10. That 1 out of 10, she's gonna give you that feedback, if that makes sense. What do we actually do on placements? So I feel like this is a good question for me to continue into. So as I said, the first week is usually very observational, you're kind of like a helping hand. But what you do is you pretty much just learn how to be a physio in that sector. So you learn kind of the different treatment methods, the different kind of equipment or different patients you see. But let me give you some examples. So on my first placement, that was trauma orthopedics. That's kind of people who have had a total hip replacement, a total knee replacement, or anything like that. You can either like help them sit to stand or to mobilize, re-education. As a student, you might end up going to see a patient as a single, but obviously that kind of comes with your confidence as well. On my second placement was intermediate neuro rehab. The majority was doubles, so 2 people, just because neuros usually like requires more people. But sometimes if it was kind of a soft tissue massage, then I could go as a single. And then obviously throughout, like, your educator will be asking you questions, really making you think, or, you know, saying, okay, so we're gonna see this patient, what would you do in this treatment session? And then after, like, how did you think that went? So they really try to make you think, which is good. But yeah, in terms of what you actually do, that's variable from placement to placement. So as I say, like on this one, it's very much all virtual. Sometimes it's over the phone, sometimes it's over video assessment, and then in rare cases, if we think we need to take them in, then we can take them in. It's really, really fun, really beneficial, and you honestly learn so much. Like, you can do as much as you want at university and like lectures and practicals and everything, but getting actually like into the dirt is like where you learn and where you solidify your skills. You should be excited for placement. It's definitely like come out a whole different physio and person. Man, this hot chocolate's so good. It's a dark hot chocolate. I love dark chocolate. But yeah, I'll catch you in a bit.
I can't really vlog at work, so I couldn't show you what everything was about. So basically, I'm currently working in Entry Hospital for prosthetic and wheelchair rehab, which basically means patients who've had an amputation and they've come to get checked whether they're appropriate for a fake limb or not. So I will basically be assessing along with the doctor whether they have the appropriate conditions and criteria to get a limb. There's basically a lot of orthopedic work. I work with the prosthetist, orthotist, consultants, a limb nurse. It's a very broad MDT. I hope you get a basic understanding of what I do, but that's about it.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you guys know that it does take time. I have these discussions with my friends quite often, is like your progression throughout placement, and you compare yourself to other people a lot. Honestly, like, this is my second week, and I did do like initial assessments before, but this is the first one with my educator. I wasn't confident at all, and you know what, like, you have to realize that you'll begin to get that confidence and you'll begin to kind of develop your skills and solidify them with practice, and you just have to dive in. So right now I'm on Physi Track, which is what I showed you, or you might have seen earlier. I'll show you anyway. This is kind of what we use when we're sending exercise programs out to people. So I'm just gonna put together one for one of my hip patients. Then I have another initial assessment. Right, you guys have literally seen me change my hairstyle like 8 times today, but I just did my second assessment and it went really well as well, which is so good. As I say, there's always gonna be improvements. So the next thing that people wanted to know is what our schedules look like. So for MMU, we kind of work as if it were a full-time job. So we come in Mondays to Fridays. It all kind of depends, because I know Liverpool, when I was on my first placement, there was a Liverpool student and she didn't need to come on Mondays. And I don't actually mind it. Obviously it's very tiring, especially, you know, if you're coming into classes kind of 3 times a week and then you go on placement, which is 5 days a week. It's definitely a lot more tiring and you have to get used to it, but it at least kind of puts it into perspective of what kind of your life will look like as a physio. Yeah, unfortunately you do have work to do while on placement, and it is super, super hard, especially, you know, with coronavirus and everything. We're having to do everything at the same time, so all of us are kind of freaking out. We are so exhausted, and you know, having back-to-back placements on top of that is very, very hard, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get there in the end. So yeah, even if we didn't have this essay assignment on the side, we'd still have reflections and placement related things to do. So those 2 documents, LDP and your SWOT analysis, is something that you do before placement, and then I recommend halfway kind of reviewing those and talk about it with your educator, because they get impressed by it. I'm trying to think of anything else that you might want to know about placements, but at the end of the day, placements are super, super fun. They are nerve-wracking, because you go in, you're working with these professionals and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm working with someone who knows what they're doing, and so all you're thinking is, I don't want to do this wrong. But you are there to do it wrong. You are there to learn. They're not expecting you to get everything right. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish off what I need to do, and then I'll get back to you for the end of the video. Yeah, I'm in my little polo. Yes, I am. I'm finished for the day today, so I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of tell you kind of extracurricular wise, how much time do we have? And to be honest, that kind of depends on where your placement actually is. So at MME you can kind of get, I think, 2 hours around wherever you're living. Yeah, if you've got a placement that's further away, so let's say on my first placement when I was going to the Wirral, which was almost 2 hours away, if you have to get up early, you're gonna want to go to bed early as well. So you only have like a 2 hour maybe increment in between to like make dinner or whatever, which is why meal prepping can be so important and very beneficial during placements. But let's say if you had a placement that's closer by and you're finishing at 4 and it only takes you like 40 minutes to get home, then you could definitely go to the gym. You have time. But again, my biggest tip with that, if you are wanting to go to the gym, is to pack your gym stuff with you. You know, once you have that long day, that full day of work, and you get home, if you sit on that sofa or if you sit on your bed, you're not gonna get out. That's what I'm gonna do now. Obviously I worked from home today, but I'm not gonna give myself any time to kind of relax and chill out. All right guys, I have my jacket on and everything, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that kind of gave you insight into what our physio degree actually is comprised of, because placement is a huge part of it. But obviously if you have any other questions or queries or anything like that, just leave them down below or message me on Instagram. And yeah, so like and subscribe, turn post notifications on, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Literally, this is my attire for today. Polo and then sweatpants. This is what working from home actually looks like.